मान खाए मुनिया गान मराए दुनिया. No wait, you can't say that. You can't say that. Wait. There is no standard of what a good girl is supposed to be. It's a scam. It's a scam because no matter what happens, somebody will come to you and say, actually, but this is what good girls should do. You will get to listen to that song because it's Zinndddaaa hai to pyala pura bhar le. They're going to make us pay for this bottle award.
Give it up for the amazing and very talented Aditi Mittal!
You know, ironically enough, for the girl who talks about boobs, bras and breasts and periods, I don't really talk about my personal life that much. But you're right, I did grow up with my mom. I was adopted by my Masi when I was 3 years old. And she adopted me and my brother together, and you know, frankly, I feel like that has been one of the best things that happened to me, because I think I have turned out like her. I am an exact Xerox copy of her. I was a very committed Nautanki, I think, right from childhood. And luckily this happened. Like luckily I got into, you know, stand-up and I started performing and stuff like that, because otherwise I would just be fired from a series of jobs where they would be like, you're being too dramatic or too out there. I think that's, so I got very lucky, frankly, for the personality type I have. I lost my, my birth mother when I was very young, and I went off to boarding school. And when you go to boarding school, you know, it's a little bit of jungle. When you go to a brand new boarding school, you have to meet people for the first time. Every year, you know, new kids would come in and you're living with each other, like 24/7. And so you have to learn to negotiate these friendships. You know, the person who's in the dorm on the bunk bed next to you, your bench mate. You have to learn to negotiate these relationships without the constant interference or support of your parents. And I think that was sort of very, I constantly strived to fit in. I constantly strived to find my place. Like my parents were, you know, they were very scared. They were very scared because they were like, ye, you know, nautanki karti rehti hai puri zindagi, aur fir jaake, you know. And I would run my mouth for anything and everything, okay? And my mother was like, you know, she seems to have no filter. How will she last in any industry that doesn't have regulations? She's all over the place. And so they were very panicky about my future in general. Any person or any woman right now who is speaking openly, and I'm not even saying without a filter, I'm saying even if you're speaking thoughtfully and if you're speaking truth to power, you have to be ready for resistance. You have to be ready for, you know, hate, anger, abuse to come your way.
Yes, maybe men may cook to show off and attract babes and get into newspapers, but women have to cook for survival. And that's the same thing with a sense of humor, is that men may do it to show off and attract babes and get into the newspapers, but women have to do it for survival.
I think that I have luckily been given that little bit of a flip where I can still speak my mind, but someone will, you know, that someone might listen because it's funny, right? But I do think that any woman who speaks up, the cross to bear or the burden to bear will constantly be the judgments and the expectations from what a good girl is supposed to be. And I used to earlier think, you know, what is a good girl? Right? कि वो अच्छा बोलती नहीं है अपने adults के you know, अपने elders के सामने, वो, you know, family की सुनती है, वो boss की सुनती है, वो अच्छे काम करती है, वो, you know, बाहर नहीं जाती रात को. But I also realized, like, and that's one of the tricks, right? Is that I'm like, यार मैं सबकी independent good girl की definition लिख के अपनी जिंदगी जीऊंगी, मर जाऊंगी मैं. We are taught, by the way, not to put our happiness above others, where it's considered very selfish for a woman to think of herself before she thinks about anybody else. I would say we should do it more often. It's damn good fun, I'm just telling you. I think I have used humor a lot to make friends. You find a way to be accepted by people. And I like all comedians, I think, very inherently are people who felt like they haven't been loved enough. And that's why they're out there going from person to person you know, all over the country to audiences saying, "Hare, please yaar, mere joke pe has do na. Please yaar, just laugh na. 1 second, please, I beg you." Now there are various ways and methods in which people across gender, across caste, across color process humor. There are some things that someone might say that might be considered offensive, and then there are some things that someone might say that might be considered, you know, healing. Some joke that you're like, oh, you know, I get that feeling. Oh, I know what you're talking about. And I think that to me, as I've seen humor play out, or as I've seen myself use humor, is for two purposes. One is, oh my God, I know exactly what she's talking about, or, oh my God, I never thought of it that way.
The Supreme Court said that if you're an actor playing a villain, you might be held responsible for the actions of the villain from the script. So that means in India 2021, you're more likely to get punished for acting like a villain than actually being a villain. Like Shakti Kapoor will go to jail for aankhein nikal ke gotiyan khelna, but Nirav Modi is free.
We get to say a lot of true things or things that we genuinely feel under the garb of humor. There's also a lot of things you say that you don't really mean in the garb of humor. So I wouldn't give one weight over the other, but I do think that it gives, and especially women or groups of groups or comedians from marginalized groups, whether it's a trans comedian, whether it's, you know, a comedian belonging to the LGBTQIA community, whether it's a comedian from, you know, who has an unconventional body type, an unconventional voice. I think that it is very, very, very powerful for them to be able to channel the truths of their life and have actually people listen. So dude, actually it's really interesting. I have noticed that Indian audiences in India, and especially in metro cities, right? And even actually in tier 2 cities are very open-minded, especially in a stand-up room. Like I feel like people, when they laugh, they do really accept, you know, a woman talking, a woman saying some crazy stuff, or a woman cracking jokes. I went for an audition to Comedy Store, which was Comedy Store in London, Comedy Store in Mumbai back then. Oh, matlab confidence ki dukaan. It must say, public like, wow, audition to itna mast gaya. He called me that evening. He's like, Aditi, would you like to come and do a spot tonight? When you're new at something, you think you know it so well. My first impulse was, chalo, you know what I've seen comedians do when they go and they'll be like, hey, something to comment on the audience. Instead of just going and doing my jokes, which I should have done. But no, mere ko bhi 30 mark khan. So I went right in front. There was a guy wearing a Hawaiian shirt. So I thought, iske baare mein to material milega. So I went, excuse me, nice shirt. His reaction was, joke bolna. I don't remember what happened after that. I do not remember what happened. It was a man my father's age telling me, joke bolna, when I said nice shirt. My memory, like I've suppressed it. Suppressed it because I cannot bear to think about what happened after that. We ascribe more authority to men, no? Also because society doesn't prepare women to respond to all these. Like they'll tell you, be empowered, be as empowered as possible. Aisa itna matlab tum karate, tai chi, sab kuch sikho. One, they do not teach you how to respond, and two, does not equip you with what happens with the reaction of your response. Exasperating farrago of distortion and lies, outright lies, is spread by you guessed it. Dream man, actually, I don't give a fuck about anything, and I think that's great for my skin. It's great for my skin. It really helped me maintain my youth. Is not giving a fuck. And I would recommend it to everybody around me. Why am I talking like Shashi? I don't understand. Bharti Singh, Kapil Sharma, we have some incredible comedians coming out of India. In America, her name is Jenna Friedman. She was one of the co-writers for that new Borat movie, and she's won a bunch of awards and stuff like that. So yeah, these three are my favorites right now. 70 मिनट, सिर्फ 70 मिनट है तुम्हारे पास दुनिया को दिखाने के लिए कि एक चुटकी सिंदूर की कीमत क्या है, रमेश बाबू। It's like if you're like, oh, I'm so awkward, I don't know how to dance and all that stuff. It's you're shopping. And so you're shopping with a shopping cart, and you're taking stuff and you're putting it in. How cool is that? Then of course you know the screw the light bulb, pat the dog, screw the light bulb, pat the dog. If you have my phone number, call me because you will get to hear it. It is currently my caller tune, which is Zinndddaaa hai to pyala pura bhar le kancha toote. We'll have to pay for that, na? Pura कांच कर ले जिंदगी का ये घड़ा ले एक सांस में चढ़ा ले हिचकियों में क्या है जीना पूरा भर ले कोयला काला है चट. Okay, that's I'm done. Hi guys, my name is Aditi Mittal. Oh wait, sorry. Namaste students. Myself is the name is a Dr. Mrs. Lutchuke. Don't forget to press the like आणि share आणि sanskar button on the video of this channel, which is the Housefly, no? House of Flies, Hautefly. Don't forget to subscribe to the Hautefly.